Hello children, welcome all. Let's continue our chapter Combustion and Flame. Before we continue our chapter, let's have a recap of this chapter till now whatever we have learned. First we have learned about what is combustion. Combustion is a chemical process in which a substance reacts with oxygen and generates heat during combustion. And then we have learned about what are combustible substances and what are non-combustible substances. Combustible substances that are substances that undergo combustion and which gives off heat and light, and non-combustible substances are those substances that do not undergo combustion, otherwise called as burning, isn't it? Then we have learned about what are the conditions necessary for the combustion to take place. The three important conditions should be there for combustion to take place. First, combustion requires fuel, combustion requires heat, and combustion requires air, that is presence of oxygen. For burning, oxygen is essential. Then we have learned about different substances. They catch fire at different temperature, isn't it? The substances, all substances, they have its own ignition temperature, isn't it? Then what is the ignition temperature? The lowest temperature at which a substance catches fire is called its ignition temperature. Then we have learned that we find the combustible substances cannot catch fire unless until its temperature is lower than its ignition temperature. Then the substances which have very low ignition temperature and can easily catch fire with flame are called inflammable substances. Immediately they catch fire with very low temperature, that is, which has very low temperature, very low ignition temperature, and can easily catch fire with flame are called inflammable substances. Example for inflammable substances: petrol, alcohol, liquefied petroleum gas, etc. Then we learned about how do we control fire. For control fire, we have already learned conditions necessary for combustion. So those conditions, if we remove, then we can control fire. That is removal of fuel. Then we have to remove air supply or cut off oxygen, as well as cutting off heat or lowering the temperature of the fuel. In that case, lowering the temperature here means we have to cool down the combustible substances. Then we can control fire. Then we have learned about when should we use water to extinguish fire. We can we extinguish fire by either by pouring water, isn't it a common method? But when we should use water to douse fire, or when we should not use water to douse fire. First we revise when should we use water to extinguish fire. That is when wood, paper, clothes, they caught fire, we can use water to extinguish them, because water, when you pour water, it lowers the temperature of burning material below the ignition point or ignition temperature, and thus it stops burning. And when should we not use water to extinguish fire? When the fire is due to some electrical equipment, if you pour water, what will happen? Water, it may conduct electricity, so it gives shock to the people, those who are extinguishing the fire. And also we should not use water when oil or petrol catches fire, because water is heavier than oil, and so when you pour water on this petrol or oil, what happens? Water, as it is heavier, it sinks down, and oil and petrol, as it is lighter, it keeps floating on the top, and it continuously burns. So we cannot use water when a fire is due to oil or petrol. For children, now what should we do then when electrical equipment or some inflammable material like this petrol, kerosene, etc., when they catch fire? Because as we have already now we have found the reason that we cannot use water to extinguish those electrical equipments or inflammable material when they catch fire, because what should we do? We have to use fire extinguisher. That is that is carbon dioxide is the best fire extinguisher in those cases when electrical equipment and inflammable materials like petrol, oil, kerosene, etc., they catch fire. What is the reason behind it? Carbon dioxide is heavier than oxygen. We know that oxygen supports burning, isn't it? Carbon dioxide, when you spray carbon dioxide, so carbon dioxide is heavier than oxygen and it covers the burning materials like a blanket and cuts off its oxygen supply. So it prevents the contact between the oxygen and the burning material. So once the burning material, they do not get enough oxygen, then what happens? It stops burning. Also, it does not harm the electrical equipment. And as well as carbon dioxide, how we can get carbon dioxide can be stored in a liquid as a liquid in cylinder at high pressure. When pressure is released, it immediately expands and comes out as a gas, and it cools down and envelop the fire. Thus, it brings down the temperature of the fuel. And also, we can pour dry chemicals like sodium bicarbonate or potassium carbonate on the fire, because these chemicals, they release carbon dioxide near the fire. So this way we can extinguish fire when electrical equipment or inflammable materials catch fire. And then we have learned about types of combustion. There are 3 types of combustion: rapid combustion, spontaneous combustion, and explosion. What is rapid combustion? Combustion in which a gas burns quickly, producing heat and light. Gas here in the sense, the substances which get vaporized only gives flame while burning, isn't it? So here, so those inflammable substances, they undergo rapid combustion. Or children, here gas in the sense, the substances which vaporize like kerosene, petrol, wax, etc. And spontaneous combustion, combustion in which materials burst into flame suddenly without applying a heat. So just by keeping it at room temperature only, it starts burning suddenly without applying a heat. It's called spontaneous. Spontaneous suddenly catches fire. Example, phosphorus, which burns at room temperature. We have seen phosphorus is a very reactive, isn't it? And then coal dust also catch fire spontaneously. So these are all, as well as heat from the sun and heat from lighting may also cause spontaneous forest fire. So these are all different examples of spontaneous combustion. Then what is explosion? When a material bursts suddenly or burns suddenly to produce heat, light and sound by the application of heat or pressure is called as explosion. Example, crackers and fireworks. Unless until you supply heat to it, it doesn't burst, isn't it? So by the application of heat and pressure, when the burning material, it burns suddenly with high heat, light and sound, it is called as explosion. And then we have learned about flame. What are the substances they give flames while burning? Substances which vaporize during burning give flames. Example, kerosene oil, melted wax, and etc. They give flames. That is why we use kerosene lamp at home, isn't it? We burn candle. Candle gives flames. Why? Because this candle is made up of wax. When we lit it, and what happens? The wax near the wick, it gets melted and gets evaporate, isn't it? So near, that is why it gives flame. The same way kerosene oil lamp also, when kerosene oil lamp, it reaches through the wick and or vaporized during burning, that is why it gives flames. And charcoal and other substances which does not vaporize, they do not produce flame. Got children? So substances which vaporize during burning, it gives flames. Then that is why we tell that flame is a hot glowing body of ignited gas. Here gas in the sense, the substances which vaporize. Vapor means it is in the form of gas, isn't it? And vaporized produce flame when it is on fire, is called as a flame. Here we have seen example for kerosene lamp, candle, burner, kitchen stove, etc. These are all produces flame because here the substances, they vaporize while burning. And now let us learn about flame, structure of flame. Till now we have learned about what is flame, isn't it? Now we will learn about structure of flame. Flame has three zones, three layers, three zones, three areas. Outermost zone, middle zone, and innermost zone. So we will come from outer side of the flame. Outermost zone. Outermost zone is blue in color, and it is the hottest part of the flame. And if you keep your hand at the tip of the flame, outermost part of the flame, you feel very hot, isn't it? So this is the outermost part of the flame is blue in color. You should remember the color of the flame and the heat produced, hottest part of the flame. And here this zone where complete combustion takes place. What do you mean by combustion? Burning. Here it burns completely, complete combustion takes place. Got children? And middle zone is yellow in color, moderately hot, medium hot, and in this zone partial combustion takes place. Only partly it burns, partial combustion takes place. And innermost zone is black in color and it is least hot. Here we can find the unburned wax vapors of a candle. So outermost zone is blue in color, hottest part, and complete combustion. So these 3 points you will keep in mind. Middle zone, yellow in color, moderately hot, and partial combustion. Innermost zone, black in color, least hot, less hot, least hot, and here unburned wax substances will be present. And here kerosene oil and molten wax, they vaporize during burning, but charcoal, as we know, they do not produce flame because they do not vaporize and when it burns. And if you see the structure of flame, this figure, now see that outermost zone at the top, it is blue in color. See that outermost zone, that shaded like this, it is blue in color, hottest part, complete combustion takes place. Then middle zone, yellow in color, partial combustion and moderately hot. See that innermost zone near the wick, you can see that black in color and unburnt wax. That black color is due to unburnt substances, burning substances, and it is least hot. That is why while we play, when you keep your hand, move your hand near the wick of the flame, you don't find that much hot, isn't it? Because it is least hot portion. At the same time, when you keep at the tip of the flame, which is the outermost zone, you find it very hot. You may get burnt your hand. That is why that outermost zone is hottest part of the flame. And now, if you see that structure of the flame, how do we come to know that that outermost part is hottest part? For that, let us have one activity. Now, when we have to keep a burning candle, and when the candle flame is steady means when it is not flickering, it is when it is steady, you have to introduce a clean glass plate or like slide on into the luminous zone of the flame. And luminous means where light is coming, luminous part, luminous zone of the flame, and hold it this way with a pair of, hold the slide with a pair of tongs for about 10 seconds. Now then you remove it. What do you observe? You can see in the picture. We can see that circular blackish ring is formed on the glass plate or slide. What it indicates? It indicates the deposition of unburnt carbon particles present in the luminous zone of the flame. Luminous zone means where the flame is coming, where the light is coming. That is near the wick. That is innermost part of the flame is the luminous zone. Where if you keep that, you can see that it forms a blackish ring. This shows that deposition of unburned carbon particles. And now the one more activity, we have to hold a long copper wire just inside the non-luminous zone. Non-luminous zone is the outermost zone for 30 seconds. And notice non-luminous means where you cannot see that light, only so non-luminous zone. Notice that the portion of the copper wire just outside the flame, that is the outermost part of the flame, gets red hot. It becomes red hot. It indicates that the non-luminous zone is nothing but the outermost zone of the flame has high temperature. And this, from this we can understand that the outermost part of the flame is the hottest part. So we can see two activity where the luminous zone is the innermost zone which has that unburnt carbon particles, and the outermost zone which is the hottest part of the zone is a non-luminous zone. And from now, why see the figure? Why do goldsmith blow at outermost zone of a flame for melting gold and silver? Why they keep that outermost gold and silver at the outermost zone of the flame? The outermost zone of the flame is the hottest part. Gold and silver, they have high melting point, isn't it? So hence goldsmith blow at the outermost zone of the flame to melt gold and silver quickly. Got children? So the outermost zone here, it is a non-luminous zone. It has highest, hottest part of the flame. And now let's learn about what is fuel. Till now we have learned about flame, isn't it? Flame, the substances which vaporizes when burns, they are called, they only produce flame. Now what is fuel? Fuel are substances that gives us heat, and that heat which we use for domestic or industrial purposes, like substances like wood, kerosene, petrol, etc. So these substances we call that as fuel. Fuel are substances that gives us heat, for which we can use that heat for domestic as well as industrial purpose. Give some example of fuel. You can tell wood, kerosene, petrol, etc. Now, what will an ideal fuel? Ideal fuel means good fuel. Or which fuel we can tell that as ideal fuel or good fuel? Ideal or good fuel is one which has proper ignition temperature. Neither it should be too high nor it should be too low. Got it? Then we can tell that fuel as a good fuel or ideal fuel. As well as they do not produce any polluting substances or undesirable or poisonous substances, and thus it should not cause any pollution, as well as it should not leave behind much ash. The same way, the ideal fuel should be very cheap. It should be readily available, and it should produce large amount of heat. Heat means it should have high calorific value, and it has a moderate rate of consumption. It should be easily controllable. That is, when we don't want the burning of those ideal fuel should be easily stopped, or we can start whenever it is needed, that way. So it should be easily controllable, and it should be easily handled, easy to transport, and it has low moisture content, then only it can burn easily. So if these characters, if they possess, we can call that fuel as ideal fuel or good fuel. Ideal fuel or good fuel is as low proper ignition temperature. It should not cause any pollution. It should be cheap, readily available. It should produce large amount of heat, and it has moderate rate of consumption, easily controllable, easy to handle and transport, and it should has low moisture content so that it can easily burn and all. Understood? And it should be very cheap also than other fuel. Or children, so till now we have learned about what are combustible substances, how can we control fire, and different types of combustion like rapid, spontaneous, and explosion. Then we have learned about what is flame, and we have learned about the substances which vaporize during burning. They give flame. Example, kerosene oil, molten wax, etc. And then we have learned about structure of flame. Flame has 3 zones. Outermost zone, which is blue in color, hottest part, and where complete combustion takes place. Then middle zone, yellow in color, moderately hot, and partial combustion takes place. Then innermost zone, black in color, least hot, and we can see unburnt substances, that like wax, unburnt wax or unburnt carbon particle will be there. And okay children, that's all for this session, and in next session we will be learning about fuel efficiency and about different types of fuel in a detailed manner. Thank you.